Hello, my name's Blossoms and welcome to another Genshin Impact video. And today I'm going to be showing you guys my support DPS Beidou here. She's one of my favorite units to put in a party, just because you can swap to her, get the parry, deal a bunch of damage, generate some energy for her, and just assist your teammates in a pretty huge way. And I'm very excited to show you guys my particular build here, and I hope it helps you guys in the future. But before we actually hop into the build, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more, as I will be doing more videos like this in the future, and I appreciate the support. Without further ado, let's go ahead and show off the sub DPS Beidou. So first and foremost, you will notice my talents here are 6, 9, and 9. They're 7 because I currently have Tartaglia in the party for the normal attack there. That is because I do have some Constellations though, that's why those two are 9. We'll go over those in just a moment and which ones I like, but important things to remember about her kit is her E is a parry that gets better based on how many times you're hit with a maximum of 2. And then her Stormbreaker is an awesome elemental burst here. It has high energy cost of 80, but the cooldown isn't too bad, so you don't have to worry about it that much, and it gives you damage reduction while it's active. And then when you normal or charge attack, it causes chain lightning to everybody around or affected by that said normal or charge attack. She's also got some passives here that are very important to note for those two skills, like Retribution here. If you time the parry properly, you'll get the maximum damage bonus, and then if you unleash the maximum damage bonus, then you get more attack speed for your normal charge attack slash damage, and it reduces the delay before unleashing charge attacks, which is pretty nice. So it's definitely a high skill ceiling kit, and I really enjoy it. The parry is one of the more important aspects of it, and swapping to her and getting that off properly is one of my favorite feelings in the game. As for those Constellations I was mentioning, she does have some good Constellations, and most of them focus around her elemental burst Stormbreaker. As you can see here, CB Scourge, whenever you use Stormbreaker, it's going to give you a shield based off her max HP. And then the second one here, Stormbreaker is going to be able to arc to additional enemies, which makes its crowd control aspect much stronger. But my favorite Constellation here has got to be C4, that within 10 seconds of taking damage, Beidou's normal attacks gain 20% additional electro damage. This is really nice, as it allows you to go ahead and sit there and have a much more consistent form of applying electro damage, and you don't have to wait for Beidou's skill to activate to apply some electro, which really does help out in some situations. And I just think it also makes her a better pairing for other characters as well, to where you need that electro application, and it's probably my personal favorite. But then she also has her C6 here, which is very good, and I can't wait to get it, where during the duration of Stormbreaker, the electro resistance of surrounding opponents is decreased by 15%. You can imagine how that can get pretty nuts, considering her Stormbreaker does so much chain lightning that they're just going to be taking a free additional like 15% damage essentially. As for artifacts for Beidou, personally, I'm rocking the 2-piece Gladiator's Finale and 2-piece Thundering Fury. Now, you do have a few options, especially on support Beidou here. Like, you could go the 4-piece Thundering Fury here, where that's going to be increasing your reaction damage, as well as lowering your skill cooldown a little bit, which is pretty nice considering her skill cooldown is a tiny bit long with the 7.5 seconds. So you could use that, but I personally wanted to inch out as much damage as I could, and my substats on my Gladiator stuff is just better. Now, other options you could go for is you could probably go for something like the 2-piece Noblesse Oblige and the 2-piece Thundering Fury, to where you're just focusing on that elemental burst a little bit more. If you're doing that, then I would probably recommend doing a little bit more energy recharge oriented build than the kind of one that I have there, that I have here. But that is also definitely a viable option. Now, if you're going for something like main DPS, probably something like 4-piece Gladiator or 4-piece Retracing Bullet is going to be a good option for you. And one other option I want to recommend, just to kind of make sure you know it's there, is that if you're using a very electro charge oriented team, or at least 2 electro units on your team, then you probably could go for something like Thunder Soother, especially if you have Beidou's C4 here, because you'll constantly be applying electro, and that'll allow her to deal some more damage. But I can't really recommend it outside of an electro focused team or electro charge focused team, as it's just not really going to be that good otherwise. As for main stats for Beidou, for my particular gear, I have attack percent, electro damage bonus, and crit rate. You could go something like energy recharge here, but I think in the end you're going to want to go attack percent and focus on energy recharge substats. I think that's going to be the most optimal for you. And I know some people, when they run their main DPS Beidou, they try to run like a physical damage bonus goblet here. I'm here to let you know that essentially that's just not going to be better than electro damage bonus. People have ran those numbers before, and the electro damage bonus just beats out the physical damage bonus just because of how much electro damage she can actually do. And then crit rate is just my particular helmet for my ratio. You're obviously going to do crit rate or crit damage here depending on your particular ratio, always shooting for that 1 to 2% crit damage to crit ratio, and this is just helping me out. As for substats you want to shoot for on Beidou, energy recharge, crit damage, crit rate are all probably the top 3, attack percent being under that. I think energy recharge is actually more valuable just because she has such a high cost elemental burst, and you're really going to want to be focusing on trying to get that as much as possible. But obviously if you can get all 4 on your substats, then that's pretty ideal. My particular build here is actually really lacking on energy recharge, so whenever I do get some better gear for energy recharge, I'm going to be slapping it on her immediately. Then for weapons for Beidou, personally, I'm going for Black Cliff Slasher, but that's just to enhance my particular crit rate to crit damage ratio, as mine was a little off because my substats just weren't there. So this is really helping me out. However, I think the most optimal weapon, if you can get your crit rate and crit damage to a good ratio and some pretty solid numbers, is going to be Sacrificial Greatsword, especially if you're running her as a sub DPS, because you're going to be able to sit there, you're going to get some extra energy recharge, you have a high base attack, and then on top of that, you're going to be able to reset her parry every now and then, which is really, really valuable. Being able to sit there and know that you can swap to her and get that parry off is really nice. You can do it more consistently, and I particularly like that. If you're going for something like a main DPS or even sub DPS and you just don't have any of these weapons, you could shoot for something like Prototype Archaic, and that'll do okay, but I think you're really going to want to upgrade to something like a Sacrificial Greatsword or a Black Cliff Slasher in the future. Now, obviously, if you have a 5-star Greatsword, any of those are probably going to be a pretty rock-solid option. Things like the Favonius Greatsword you definitely can use, and since it has such a high energy recharge substat, that could very well be a good option for you in particular if you don't have something like Sacrificial Greatsword. And if you're using it as a sub DPS, then I could recommend this. You just have to make sure you're getting those crits, you're getting that energy to be able to get her elemental burst as much as possible. But I still think the Sacrificial Greatsword beats out the Favonius Greatsword in my opinion. Just being able to get that extra E is so valuable. And then on top of that, the Rain Slasher definitely isn't a bad option, but I would probably only do it if you are doing that Electro Charged comp, as it only works when they're affected by Hydro or Electro and gives that Elemental Mastery. You're giving up a valuable substat here for her in particular, because she does kind of need the substat of her weapon, at least in my case. Now, if you just have incredible substats on your artifacts and you don't really care about your weapon substat, then go ahead and go for Rain Slasher. It's certainly not the worst option. As for the stats of my Beidou here, nothing too crazy. I've got her level 69, you know, the ideal level, and I've got a pretty solid crit rate to crit damage ratio here, 54% and 158%. I would only be at like 100 or so without the Black Cliff Slasher there, so she's just dealing that much more damage, and that ratio isn't bad or anything, but I would like to try and get to maybe 130 without the Black Cliff Slasher, and before I go ahead and swap off of it. Now, I would also like to try and inch my crit rate towards the 65% range, and then I think I'll just be a-okay on that. And then you notice my energy recharge here is only 123%, and I've got to tell you that is suboptimal as hell. I personally want to shoot for 165 energy recharge. I think that'll probably be one of the best spots to be in. I just got to get some better substats on the artifacts, grind those out, you know. And then I've got 65% on the electro damage bonus here. That's because my electro damage cup is not leveled all the way. So overall, this is a rock solid Beidou so far, but definitely plenty of room to improve. And I'm very excited to show you guys what she's like in the open world, as well as the kind of support she can bring to a boss DPS phase. All right, so let's go ahead and show her off a little bit in the open world here. Just gonna mess with some treasure hoarders. Gonna get Bennett out here, light the grass on fire, and use Beidou's full thing here, and we didn't even crit there, and we hit around 7k, so that ain't too bad. Let's see if we can actually get a crit here on some of these guys. And we hit about 19k at actual full capacity there. Definitely can't complain. Get the Q going there. And you see that that's going to chain to those guys. Hitting about 4k per, which is pretty darn good for some AoE coverage. And especially when you pair with somebody like Child, she's going to be doing huge amounts of assist damage, essentially. Also wanted to go ahead and show off a little bit of our normal attacks here, just so you guys have an idea. See him about like 2-3k on the crits there. And just a little bit of that electro damage from the C4. I do have her at low health here, but mostly because I was focusing on parrying rather than actually, dodging or anything. But, and to just give you guys an idea how she operates in the open world. But let's go ahead and show her off on a boss and just kind of the damage she can actually bring to the table. Alright, we're dropping into the Pyro Regisvine as usual here. Gonna see just kind of the damage that she can actually bring to the table. Maybe I should have brought somebody else to get down the shields here, but that's alright. See if we can get Child to get the actual shield down here without dying. And there we go. Didn't even get Bennett's ult out. I actually just forgot about that. So I guess that's... see what we can actually check out here. Not too bad. Definitely can't complain. Just her and Tartaglia there. That was it for that particular phase. Let's see what it's actually like when we do a proper setup. I tried 2 here for a little bit of a Beidou action. Actually going to try and set things up this time. I know, crazy concept. See if we can actually get her going. See, with a little bit of a proper setup here, we are definitely blasting through a little bit faster on the Pyro Regisvine. Maybe we're just a little slow there. And you notice that was some pretty solid damage and a parry, so we didn't actually take any damage there ourselves. See if we can actually get a little bit more going here. I want to see if we can actually finish him off with a parry. See just kind of how that goes. Yeah, that wasn't bad. I mean, considering he wasn't knocked out or anything, and we just kind of swiped his ass like that. Definitely can't complain too much about that one. Hopefully that gives you guys a realistic idea of how a sub DPS Beidou can work and assist your team just a little bit. There's definitely a lot more nuance to her kit, and as you get better with her, she gets better. You time your E's properly, you're going to be dealing even more damage. And as I said, there's plenty of room to grow for my Beidou, and I pointed out those flaws in her while we were going over the build there. So obviously she has plenty of room to grow, and she's already a really strong unit for the team, and I'm very excited to actually get her up there to that Ascension 5 and get those talents really going and then test her out then. But for now, this is kind of what I had, and I wanted to go ahead and share that with you guys. And if you enjoyed it, please leave a like below. Comment below your thoughts on a sub DPS Beidou or your particular Beidou build. I would love to see that in the comments below. But other than that, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. My name's Blossoms, and I'll catch you later. Peace.